about the hottest prints for the spring-summer season of 2025. Hello and welcome to Design, or Design. My name is Maria and today we're going to be talking about prints. We're going to be talking about maybe the woven patterns that were present on the runways of all the major fashion shows that were gracing the spring-summer 2025 catwalks, and make sure to stay to the end because I'm pretty sure that you will find the one for you. Without any further ado, let's just get started with the most obvious one is florals. I know what you guys are thinking, florals for spring, how original, but we do see a lot of them on the runways, ranging from really muted, maybe earthy colors to more dramatic ones. We see them in a variety of outfits. They were ranging from really different styles, like very classical, ladylike styles, to boho and western and many more. So when I think about florals for spring, I think about muted colors, something pastel-like, but on the runways we saw a lot of like what is called a winter floral, which they have a dark background with the florals popping up. We also see, of course, the regular like the summer or spring florals with the white background, which makes it a little bit more uplifting, a little bit more airy. We see the florals being really like photorealistic or more of like painted ones and everything in between. We also see a lot of prints that you would think about when you're thinking maybe it's wallpaper or an old couch fabric, maybe a little bit of granny vibes, and the scale of them ranged, of course. But always think about your complexion and your physique when you're thinking about the size of the print that you're going for. The rule of thumb for me is if you're bigger, then choose a bigger print. If you're smaller, then choose a smaller print. In comparison, for instance, if you're smaller and you're choosing a really large print, it will seem out of place. While if you're larger and you have really teeny tiny little florals, it will make you look a little bit more larger than you actually are visually. On the runways, the fan of florals, one of them at least, was definitely Versace, and I love their color combinations, a little bit on a retro style, which is really fun for me. Gucci also for men's show had a lot of florals. Another floral-esque print that I saw a lot of was more like tropical prints. More of maybe bamboo leaves, maybe palm trees, maybe a little bit of like an oceanscape situation happening. Of course, many of the prints were featured in those signature colors that were in the previous report. So if you haven't watched that, maybe go to it once you finish watching this video. But we saw these prints all over the gowns. We even have some designers pairing prints together, maybe the same print in different colors. We also see like a monochromatic outfits, as well as maybe just a pop of a print somewhere. Loewe had these amazing flowy, huge floral dresses. Right here we're seeing more of the brighter versions of them with varying sizes and colors. Of course, when you're thinking about colors, think about what your face likes. There are many faces that don't like particular colors. Just think about it. If, for instance, a pattern does have that color that is not yours, think how much of that color is present. If it's just tiny little leaves, you're gonna be okay. But if it's like a backdrop to something, then you're like, no, I need to do something else. Another trend that I've seen in the florals was very small contrast in the color. So it's barely noticeable that it is a print at all. Like here we see in Versace, we see this kind of a mint green with really light yellow. From far away, you wouldn't even catch that it is actually a print. So very low contrast of the background color and the floral colors, maybe muted colors. Here, Loewe again, see those same gorgeous dresses, but in very muted color scheme. It can still be bright, but kind of on a lighter side. The one that I was talking about, a little bit more pastel. There's no big contrast of color strength. All right, next one up would be Tapestry. Not really far away from the florals, but it is more like the woven fabrics that are together. It could be a paisley print, it could be a William Morris print, damask, or a little bit more on the ethnic vibes. We see like these scrolls and even more of like scarf prints, if you know what I mean. Like here in Etro show, we do see florals, but they're more like drawn out florals with extra details. So think about something that you could see once again on a wall or maybe on a couch. Saint Laurent had this amazing print once again. It's barely noticeable, but it's muted, like brown on black or a little bit more of that olive color on there. They also had this plethora of blazers in this metallic finish of those prints, kind of those floral couch prints basically. Like for me, that's what it is. If you're gonna go into a very old hotel that didn't renovate for a while, you will see those prints there. Versace also had more of those scarf prints on their garments. We also have the Gucci horsebit print as well. We tend to see those a lot on scarves. Valentino as well, having the change of aesthetics with a new head director. We also see these more bohemian, rich fabrics in there as well. Isabel Marant, known for their really boho Western aesthetic right now, and they have more of those ethnic weave-in skirts, ethnic prints. We see the ICAT or ECAT, I'm not sure how it's pronounced properly, I'm so sorry, I'm not perfect, like far from it, and off-white with more of the tribal designs. All right, next one up, not far away, is the animal print. And we had so much of leopard print, but now it's not on the forefront of major shows, but we do see a lot of zebra print. Isabel Marant had kind of like, I think those are butterfly wings, but I could be mistaken once again. We see Dres Van Noten going more in that reptile print. They had lots of bags like that and garments as well. Louis Vuitton kind of having those reptiles, but in those pixelated versions. Bottega Veneta, again with the snake skin, and Jill Sanders with just a little bag. Next one up are polka dots. I could argue that this might be one of the most major trends for spring summer, and we see them in a variety of scales. Like here in Nina Ricci, we see them be super exaggerated to medium range to very small tiny ones. Moschino here as well, even painting the models with those polka dots. We see them in glove form. Acne Studios here with the hot pants, a shirt, Saint Laurent, tiny little polka dots, Tory Burch. I'm not sure if those are polka dots because some of them are round and some of them are more of a square shape. So you take away from this what you want. Celine had more of the petite print. Valentino, of course, they were definitely one of the major contributors to prints on the runways because of the aesthetic. Usually when you think about prints, you're going into the boho sphere and more of the eclectic fashion. Next one up is the abstract. So we're ranging from maybe something that I'm wearing right now, a kind of a color fluid something, or maybe a pattern or a print that you kind of don't really know what it is. Like here is this animal print, or is it just little swatches of drops of paint here and there, coloring manipulations. Maybe the print isn't obvious to the eye, like what it is exactly. Like here in Mugler, it's just little dots or little smudges of things. Ferragamo here, we see more of large shapes on the garments. Here we see a gradient of color popping up in Jill Sanders. Kenzo having more of pop art in there. Marni, a little more of that again. Even the florals sometimes wore really abstract florals. Stella McCartney had some doves on their garments. Bottega Veneta prints of like photography stripes. They even had their famous fish as a garment, and diesel, more of a distressed patterns that weren't really obvious to like what it is, so that's why I put them in here. Once again, Eliasab with kind of dot work that you can't really understand what it is. Zimmermann had really beautiful watercolor-like designs on their garments. Missoni had some really beautiful bright patterns on there too. And finishing up with Balmain, having parts of faces, portraits on their garments embedded with crystals, or maybe there are just made by using like beads. This is incredible work. Have no idea how they could do this for a ready-to-wear show. All right, next one up is the illusion. So we've seen this trend before for several seasons. It's still here with us. So it's whenever you have a garment that has a part, maybe like a print of something on it that kind of looks like it's maybe a different garment. See here, we've seen in Moschino kind of a print of a scarf or a print of a coat on it. We also seen it in different shows as well. Here in Balmain, we have more of a painterly bust of a woman, and here we see almost like they took a soccer ball and created those uniforms for Louis Vuitton. Would be the vintage prints. Here we see a Gucci with very interesting combinations of colors that take us maybe like to 60s and a little bit more of a pop art situation happening here. We also see this in Miu Miu show. Once again, those colors and those prints are really taking me to the 60s. We also see some designers using more of the 20s, like the roaring 20s graphics, like in Louis Vuitton, Celine, as well as Valentino, bringing that rich aesthetic. Our graphic t-shirts coming back. We see a lot of brands with like something written on the chest, like here in Moschino. We see more of like the prints with words. Once again, here we see Moschino. We also see dresses with sayings. Off-White had several garments with printed image on there as well as lettering. Salman Rocha had some disturbing drawings for me. I wouldn't be really happy to see that in real life. Loewe had some really interesting take on it. So they had these feather t-shirts and they just printed images on them. It could have been all over printed or just a little graphic tee, but in a new way. Bottega Veneta here with a little bunny, as well as on purses like in Gucci. All right, next on up, we're going away from those flowy feminine designs into something a little bit more structured, and we're going into stripes. So I've seen stripes for a while now. Of course, it's nothing new, but you know what? If you have something striped, make sure to take it out of your closet and continue wearing it. It could have been just a part of a garment. It could be a full garment embodied in those stripes, or just made out of stripes like here. Dior had really amazing design, so they took their Dior logo and just stretched it so much that it resembled lines, and they used it in many different ways, as well as interpreting just lines in the bathing suits. You know, when you're thinking about lines, think about your structure, your complexion. Usually the horizontal lines make you a little bit wider, while vertical ones make you a little bit taller. So whichever works for you. For instance, if you want to balance out your body, if you're pear-shaped, then having the horizontal lines on top is completely fine, because it will visually make your top portion wider and balance out your figure. Same thing happen if you're top heavy, just having horizontal lines on the bottoms. We see lots of different garments in this, ranging from maybe those rugby t-shirts to more flowy dresses. Here we're entering the pinstripes, which are of course predominantly worn in the office core, fashions like shirts and blazers and trousers, maybe sometimes even pencil skirts. They were mostly done in the classical colors, nothing too crazy, not too dramatic, like black and tiny stripes is fine as well. Brands like Bottega Veneta as well as Stella McCartney and Tory Burch loved it. We're moving on to a little bit of a more dramatic stripe or like chevron shaped something from Missoni. They loved using this print and all of the show was basically revolved around this zigzag pattern and some kind of a combination of lines. Those were definitely the most brightest one I've seen, and using primary colors. All right, next one up is just crissy-cross of those lines, and we're taking a look at plaids. Of course, we're going to have Burberry with their classical plaid pattern. It is part of their DNA, so here we are. Acne Studios was also quite print heavy with the plaid as well. They had mixed matching of the plaids for tops and bottoms, as well as full-on garments in that, or just top of a pattern, as you can see here. Plaid is a very classical, and you can definitely invest into something plaid because it will never like go out of style officially. It might not be as trendy, but it is definitely worth the trouble, and I feel like it's really easy to match to anything, especially if you're getting something with very neutral color combination. Balenciaga used plaid as a layering piece for their designs. Here you can see in off-white printed bottoms and of course tops, mismatching them. Miu Miu also had a lot of it with the layering of the prints as well. We also see more of a blanket or a picnic style plaid here in Celine. But let's move on to check. This was a popular print for Dior. We also see it in Louis Vuitton. We have seen it before. Of course, it's their signature print, but it's taking up a new life here. Prada had more of a Harlem check, which is basically a little argyle print, was also present on there. But let's talk about how they were styled together. So there were several shows that went heavy onto prints and heavy into mixing them together. Right here we're seeing combinations of animal print like the reptile print as well as the floral prints, maybe something dramatically changing in the strengths of them. We also see in Valentino kind of having stripes of them, and of course both garments mix matching in prints as well. Diesel had more of like a take of layering scarves with different prints as a single garment, or having it on the bag with different types of scarves. I guess it's going into that charmed accessorized bag trend. It is always really fun to play around with prints. I love the Loewe. They kind of took all of the prints that they had in those dramatic dresses and just put them into the bottoms. Moschino here pairing with the check print, and here Versace, another big show that has merged so many different prints together, and I love the combination. The florals with that kind of a squiggly vintage vibe looks. We also see those scarf prints. Mostly they were kind of combined with the different kind of, if one is organic, one would be more like linear. We also see combination of those in Miu Miu, as I mentioned before, and here we also see the florals and the stripes. I love it. If you are new to creating outfits using prints, then I encourage you to check out my video where I talk about like how to start wearing prints or how to elevate your print styling all together. Doesn't matter if you're just starting or trying to advance. I'm pretty sure you're gonna find this video helpful for you. But here we are, we have reached the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching. If you finished to the end, please leave a smiley face with the hearts in the comments down below. That way I'll know that you finished it to the end and that you're cool. Looking forward also to reading your comments of what prints were your favorite. If you enjoyed the video, please please like this video. This is the best way you can show your appreciation for my hours upon hours of work. And if you're not already subscribed, please do so you wouldn't lose me. If you need a little bit help with figuring out how can you take those trends from the runways and apply them to your everyday life, then I encourage you to check out my Instagram, where I share my everyday outfits and how I try to incorporate what I've learned from the fashion shows into my lifestyle. Well, this is it from me today. I hope you have an amazing rest of the day, and yeah, stay classy. Bye.